Hi, everyone. Oh, I think we're good. All right. Rocking and rolling. Hi, everyone. Michelle Ferreri here, your Member of Parliament for Peterborough Kawartha and your Shadow Minister for Families, Children and Social Development. It is Wednesday, March 15th when I'm recording this video. You may be watching it at a different time, but while I'm recording it, that is the date. It is 4:47 Eastern Standard Time. All of you parents of young children and the time change, how are you doing? Hi, Shelley. I hope you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up, hearts that you can hear, and all is well. Listen, I want to talk to you today about childcare. So, right now we have Bill C-35, which is the National Childcare Strategy, Early Learning and Childcare Strategy. A lot of people use the acronym CWELC. And CWELC is up for study in our HUMA committee, which is Human Resources Committee. And so, what does that mean? Well, it means that the committee, made up of all parties in the House of Commons, has the opportunity to study a bill, to really break it down, see where there's gaps, unintended consequences, problems that exist with the bill, hear from key witnesses that have been submitted by all parties to hear what they would like to see done. So, to hear their suggestions, to hear stories. So, you can either testify in front of a committee or you can submit a written submission. And so all of this is important. All of this goes toward making decisions of whether a bill is amended, whether a bill is strong enough to go on to third reading. So the way that it works, so you have three readings of a bill if it passes each stage. If it passes first reading, it goes to second reading. Second reading, it then usually goes to committee for study, usually. So then after it goes to committee, it comes back for third reading. So, you know, this is a very long-standing complex issue, childcare in the country of Canada. And as a parent, I know it all too well, and as an entrepreneur, I know it all too well. It is the greatest stress of having children is to ensure that they are left with a capable caregiver who can provide the care they need at the time in which you need it. So it is a very hi guys, hi Catherine, hi Lenny. And it is a very complex issue. It has been a long-standing debate, and so here we are today to talk about what we're seeing. The Prime Minister made an announcement today from Newfoundland about childcare, and the biggest glaring problem with Bill C-35 is that it is quite discriminatory. It is not access for all. It is specifically targeted at the not-for-profit and public sector of childcare. And yes, this is important, but so is all of the other licensed childcare throughout the country. So we have a glaring issue right off the top with this bill. And so today we heard the Prime Minister say this is about access for all. Well, it is, and it's not meeting that demand. If you've been following any of the news articles that have come out in the last months, weeks, last year, this program, CWELC, which is what it's called, has created even more stress on the system, in particular the labor shortage. You have ECEs, early childhood educators, who are leaving the workforce because it is too stressful. They're not compensated fairly. They're not getting what they deserve. It is an exhausting position. So then you're not being able to retain and recruit them. And under this bill, there is no nuts and bolts for a national workforce strategy. So today, two things I want to talk to you about. I need you guys, if you have a story, if you are struggling accessing childcare, I need you to send your submissions, or you are somebody who works in the field, or you're a grandparent, or you're a parent, or you're thinking about having children, or wherever you sit and childcare has impacted your life, we want to hear from you. And we want you to send your submissions to the HUMA committee so that we can hear your voice. There's no formal way to submit something. It's just simply a letter, your thoughts, your feedback, your suggestions of what you've experienced and what you think needs to happen. And the deadline for that is March 17th, 2017, 11:59 on St. Patrick's Day. I also want to read to you some of the messages that have been flowing into my office. You can see this is just a handful of them. There's stacks of emails coming in to me of parents sharing their stress that they're under because they cannot access childcare. And this is what I say repeatedly about this bill. You know, affordable quality childcare is amazing and it's a wonderful concept, but if you can't access it, it doesn't exist. It is not a universal childcare system if everybody isn't benefiting from it. So I want to read you a couple things and I'll share them with you. Hello, Miss Ferrari. My name is Rebecca, and I am a lawyer practicing in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. I have an 11-month-old, and I am currently on leave from my position. I am writing to request that you raise an issue as the opposition critic for families, children, and social development. You may not be aware, but there are hundreds of Newfoundland and Labradorian women who recently had babies but are unable to return to the workforce at the end of maternity leave because there are no childcare spaces available in the province. Wait lists for both provincially regulated and non-regulated childcare spaces are hundreds of names long, and many have stopped taking names due to the extremely overwhelmed demand. She goes on to say the intention of the $10 a day daycare was to allow women to access affordable childcare, but it has had the very absurd result that women are being forced out of the workforce entirely with no income at all because they made the choice to have a child. This is a major issue from the perspective of women who unequally bear the brunt of this issue, the country, and the province in terms of a major loss of personal income that would otherwise be taxable and families that will be financially hurt in a very bad economy. Without immediate government intervention, families will be struggling or unable to afford the high cost of food, the rising cost of home heating, and the cost of servicing mortgages with rising interest rates. Women have traditionally been grossly underrepresented in government due to a lack of female politicians, and despite representing half the population, have historically been virtually voiceless on matters affecting them. This is an extremely dire situation, and I sincerely hope that you can be a champion of this issue. Now, she outlined um, the four reasons. I kind of skipped down one area, but I want to read to you else what else she said in this. Myself and many of my professional friends are looking at the immediate possibility of having to leave the workforce because we are not able to find any child care at all. And may I remind you that today, on this very same day, the Prime Minister was in Labrador, where this woman is writing to me from, telling Canadians how wonderful their childcare program is and how accessible and how important it is that people have access. And yet that very program is these are the people experiencing it. Unemployment insurance benefits are not available because maternity leave is exhausted and one would be considered to be voluntarily leaving their employment in this situation. You know, she talks about the four issues, and that's what we're talking about in committee in terms of trying to strengthen this bill to fix this problem. There are hundreds, there are thousands of these stories. One woman um, from my riding in Ennismore, this probably was one of the most heartbreaking conversations I had because Leanne shared with me they make excellent money. Her and her partner have very good jobs. And you know what she said? She said, do I go back to work or do I lose my house? Um, she told me that they are not going to have any more children because they can't afford it. That dream or idea of having a bigger family is gone for them. I hear this repeatedly. I hear this from young people. They are going to have one children or none. That is the message that is being sent. There's hope to fix all of this. There's a lot of hope to fix all of this. My name is Alicia. I'm a mother of four, an active member in my community, a former teacher, an owner of a childcare facility, and a proud female entrepreneur. With the introduction of the cost control framework to private operators, I want to outline the issues that we will face, how it will affect operators, and finally some proposed solutions on how we can alter the framework to achieve the goals of affordability while still allowing for a free market and a choice for operators and parents alike. And to she goes on to say she has this long email with great ideas. Um, she she is like many. And Alicia, this email is so powerful because I have so many female entrepreneurs who give their heart and soul. They love caring for children, and they've had to close down their center. Again, furthering the gap of access. John Chapman, what kind of quality childcare would it be for $10 a day, and who would want to watch someone else's kid for $10? So the question, if the government's going to subsidize and bring those fees down, that is wonderful. It is wonderful. Like anybody who has children will tell you that that is a huge savings. It is a significant cost to pay for childcare. But what is compromised as a result of that subsidization, in terms of when we look at the workforce as well. Um, okay. Um, this one this one is going on to say this agreement is forcing centers to close, the most recent in Grand Prairie, and there are a number of others that are close to closing their operations due to the financial difficulties that the agreement has caused. The agreement is taking away the rights of parents to choose programs that suit their families' needs. Parents are the best people to choose what kind of program is best for their families. Bill C-35 and the agreements that centers are required to sign are restricting levels of programming. We have the privilege for our family to be enrolled in a program that provides a premier level of care and education. The cost control framework being proposed is going to eliminate the ability of this center to provide the level of programming. Lots more written in there. I want to read some of these that give you an idea of what people are dealing with. There's actually a local Facebook group in my riding of Peterborough Kawartha. There's 5,000 members in it, people looking for childcare, and a lot of them primarily are part-time childcare. They can't access it because that's another major unintended consequence that you see with this bill. I saw your post looking for comments, trying to secure childcare. This has been a major issue for my family. I put my daughter on waitlist for daycare in November of 2021 when I was 15 weeks pregnant. 3/4 of the daycare list, I am nowhere close to getting her a spot. There is a chance she will get into the other one, but it might not be till September. Her start date was supposed to be this April. I've reached out to home daycares, which I'm honestly not completely comfortable sending my daughter to a stranger's house, but wanted to see what my options were. And they were also full, and their hours and days were limited when and if a spot opened up. So now I am almost less than 2 months away from when I'm supposed to return back to work without a daycare spot secured. My only option is my mother-in-law, and this would only allow me to go back part-time. I hope this gives a little insight. I can't put into words the stress this has put on me. Um, Hi, Michelle. I saw your message, and because I put out a call asking for people to share. And she says, I think this is perfect timing because my daycare, my tot spot just closed because they did not have enough RECEs as per the ministry standards. I'm beyond upset over the closure because it was a fantastic, loving daycare. The people who worked there were amazing people who truly cared for my child and all the kids there. The daycare shut down at the beginning of February and officially closed yesterday, leaving over 30 families stuck without daycare and the staff unemployed. The daycare asked for any kind of help from the government and received nothing. The government should be flexible with trying to keep a daycare open, especially when there is an Ontario-wide RECE shortage. Now, this goes on, and this is where a lot of people get frustrated because they're like federal versus provincial. And you're right, childcare is primarily provincial. So all of these agreements have been signed separately with each province and each territory. And then the federal government's job is to create a national framework, according to this bill, to help families have this. The problem is the way that this bill is set up is it's putting the province as the fall guy. It's not really managing this, and it's not addressing accessibility. There's the accessibility is a massive, massive problem. And we had a labor crisis prior to this. Martha Friendly was on CBC recently talking about this. This has always been an issue in this industry of retaining and recruiting early childhood educators, but this is the worst it's been. And this $10 a day daycare, this marketing title of, affordable childcare for everyone, but it's not, has further widened this gap because the demand has went up. And now they have no labor force to do it. Catherine, when will before and after school support lower their cost? School starts at 9:30. Little to no jobs allow a 10 a.m. start. $30 per day per kid adds up quick. It sure does. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and have yet to be able to get her childcare because she is on a wait list and nothing as of yet. She's been on a wait list for 2 years. I do work, but currently on maternity leave as I have a new baby who is 11 weeks old. I would love for my 2-year-old to interact with children her age because she hasn't been able to. So if there is something that can be done regarding the wait list, that would be great. Accessibility over and over and over again. The stress that this is putting on families is crazy. So I I'm just seeing some of these. Um, there's just they're sad, right? They're sad emails, and I think it's quite a discriminatory bill the way that it is currently written. It is putting parents at the bottom of the hierarchy who choose to stay home, or perhaps, you may have a home childcare, rural and urban, right? In many rural settings, you don't have access to this public childcare space. So what we're asking for you, this is a very important piece of legislation that needs your voice. We are trying to fix this. We are trying to fix this so that access becomes a real tangible solution, right? And access means opening up to the people who can close those waitlist gaps. And that includes those home-based entrepreneurs, those small business, women-operated home-based childcares, licensed childcare facilities throughout the country that meet the needs. So we really want to see those people included in this legislation. Now, Minister Gould, if you've been following this, will tell you that everybody's included. Yet, when you read the language of this bill, that is absolutely not the way that it is written. It is absolutely confusing, and it is not inclusive of all childcare. And so we need to ensure that we have childcare for all. That is what we really need. And so we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your stories. Please submit them to the HUMA committee. It is your voice as parents, as caregivers, as grandparents, as early childhood educators, as the frontline workforce. What needs to be done in this bill to fix it so that we actually do have access? And contrary to what the Prime Minister likes to tell you, Justin, he loves to tell you flashy headlines. But again, they create all new problems by selling a marketing headline. And $10 a day daycare sounds great, but let's work out the logistics, because it's not going to work as it currently stands until we have access for all and we get parents' mental health back on track, knowing that their children are safe, taken care of. That's what we need to do. So why not talk to the people watching and giving input to the comments? I have been, Tammy. I've been doing that the whole time. Yes, Brenda, I know that you have a son who manages a son with autism, so I know it's an even bigger hurdle for special children with special needs. So it's quite a stress. There is really not much more stressful in the world than ensuring that your child is well cared for. And I'm very grateful that I've been invited into home-based facilities, and they are incredible. I think that's another very the way that the bill is written, it divides and pits one sector against the other. And at the end of the day, what we need to ensure is that the welfare of the child is always the first priority. The welfare of the child, so the child is safe both physically and psychologically. And we don't need to pit, public and not-for-profit against home-based entrepreneur childcare. As when the child is cared for and given that opportunity to flourish in a safe environment, that is what our focus needs to be. And this is a nonpartisan issue. This should not be partisan. The welfare of our children should always be first. It is the best investment we can make. So we're, asking the Liberals to listen to what we want to do to fix this and to ensure that people do have access. And, there's no doubt in my mind at all that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was out there today, distracting. We have $10 day daycare when, he has all of this scandal swirling around him. With foreign interference. So, you know what? We will continue to fight for children. I am listening to all of you, and I really, really value your feedback. So, thank you very much. Cindy, I see in our riding we have a large empty school rid path. Wouldn't that make a great large daycare facility? It sure would. Why couldn't that happen? It's been years since I've needed childcare, so not up on rules and new regulations. Yeah, there's lots and lots of options out there, and we just have to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So please, I ask again, write into all of these wonderful people that have shared their stories, share what's not working, share your proposed solutions, share how we fix this. Thank an early childhood educator; they do wonderful work. Thank all of those small business operated childcare facilities, and thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We will continue the fight, and hopefully we can make childcare affordable and accessible for all Canadians. Thank you.